Hello, class. Welcome back. I wanted to go over our next project, which is a typographic project. Um, Usually, this class they have these projects already pre-made, but I like to adjust them to where I feel the students need more exercise on. And one of the things that I find is that a lot of students have problems with the typography, like what to do with type. Um, I think a lot of students start off playing with Photoshop first and they fall in love with Photoshop, which is great and all, but it's mainly for photo editing. But I mean, you can create some great illustrations in Photoshop, and you can even use type in Photoshop, but I think we forget sometimes how important typography is. And like I've said before, typography is this class is communications, design communication. So that means that we have to communicate, not just by uh, saying I mean, not just by like um, typing out the words, but also illustrating it. Is there a way that you can say something in a very simple way, um, but you express it more clearly? Is there a way that you can say it in two or three ways? And yet, get the point across very, like it's very evident. Okay, so we're going to start off. I'm just going to go over typography in general, and I wanted you to look at some sites that I have. These are great examples of, let's say, a typographic based posters. So the way I like to look at it is whenever you can use type to your advantage to design, that's you just make it a stronger message. So for me, if you guys can design a lot of these, a lot of the projects just type based, I know it's a challenge, but you're going to grow so much. So I really encourage you to do that. That's why I started the first project. I wanted to go straight into type because that's something that everybody like struggles with. So here's some examples of the way you can use type as a graphic element. So these are just some posters. And then we have signs, signs. I mean, we see typography all around us. And I just think it's not just the signs that are beautiful. I think the photography, whoever took these pictures, they just look really stunning. And I just like this kind of stuff. This kind of stuff is, I think it looks pretty neat. I'll leave the links to these places on the project sheet. So yes, these are just examples of signs, but they're very artistic, and just we're just going over typography and how we how it communicates to us every day. When you're driving around the city, there's signs all the time. The street signs, and businesses, and advertising and all these kind of things. So it's just, as graphic designers, it's nice to be aware of what's around. Okay, so these are just some examples. Now we have more like calligraphy. you know if you guys like to draw, that's great. If you like to, I don't know if you have a scanner or something like that, but you can scan things that you draw. And I like to draw. I started off drawing actually before I went into graphic design. So These are just examples of, different, very, very strong typography examples here. Okay, so next, this is more along the lines where we're going to go with our project. So I don't like these ads, so I'm just going to put them on the side over here. This is, okay, this is, our project is going to be about expressive typography. So I want you to start thinking about what I mean about that, thinking, and the word is clearly thinking. I mean, this is how can you express type in such a simplistic way and yet get the message across? So jump, drop. This one's nice. Loneliness. That looks like a logo already. Shadow. This one is pretty cool too. And notice how they're not using, the hard part is not using other elements like balloon. It would be so easy to draw like little squiggly lines, make it look like the string. But can you design it just the word alone without using any lines, any help, that is the challenge. Okay, so our assignment is going to be kind of based off of this. So these are some great examples here. Okay, I usually in class I would have you do something like this, and you would turn it in just to practice, and everybody pretty much gets the hang of it. So like I said, I will leave a link to these sites on, this one's pretty clever. This one's clever too. Most of these are very clever. Okay, so next I want to get into our project. So here are the project specs. I have them outlined. I have uploaded it to the to the class online. I added a document. Okay, so the project is typography, and the objective is the student will typographically enhance the meaning of a word while exploring the computer's typesetting potential. The student will select one of the words and their definition and explore their expressive quality by manipulating the letter forms. The best solutions not only enhance the word's meaning, but are clever and aesthetically pleasing. As this exercise requires manipulating typefaces, styles, size, and positions, it is an excellent project for developing computer skills. Okay, so the project dimensions is going to be 8.5 by 11. You can choose what program you want to use. I don't know what programs you might have in your computer, but I will show you an example in Illustrator because I think that's the best one to start off. And if you don't know Illustrator, this is a good time to kind of get your feet wet. Because it's a great program, and this is just kind of gonna lead us into the next project, which is gonna be logo design. And if you're gonna do a logo, you really need to learn Illustrator because that is the proper software for logo design. You should not be making logos in Photoshop. So if you have to go to school and use the lab, that's what you must do. Okay. All right, so so you're going to choose one of the words listed below and its definition. you're going to manipulate the type to enhance the meaning of the word. So the directions are, you're going to research your theme. So you're going to research a little bit about what these words and their meaning is, and you're going to, I personally like to use a sketchbook and draw my ideas, and even if it's just boxes or whatever, it makes sense to me. So then you mock up the design. Okay. The evaluation is based off of your design, your originality, presentation, and timeliness. Okay, so you're going to choose the word dyslexia and its meaning, or schizophrenia and its meaning. Okay, so just choose one. Okay, and you're basically going to create a composition using the word and its meaning. And one thing I stress about this is there is no wrong or right project. Okay, so there's no way that you're going to fail it. You just have to try. And this project is probably the most confusing project of all, but it's supposed to get you out of your comfort zone. Okay, I see a lot of students, they want to, you could tell how shy they are. Like they'll just draw like in the center, especially. This is not a Word document. You do not want to start at the top and start and center it. You want to have things coming out of the page and blow things up and make things small, repeat them, and manipulate the type. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example because I know it sounds crazy, but it's supposed to be. Okay, like I said, you guys can call me, email me, or we can chat if you have any questions or if you want further explanation. Like I said, I know this project sounds a little bizarre, but it's supposed to be. Okay, so here are some more examples that I wanted to show you. Okay, so this is more along the lines of what I'm talking about. Blow some words up, or a letter, and have the other words react to it as if you're telling a story just by using text. Okay? Like I said, there is no wrong or right. You just have to experiment. This typographic project is going to ease into the rest of our projects because that's where the students struggle the most. So the more that we can make projects based on type, the better. The better graphic designer you're going to be. Okay, so this is not an example, but I just wanted to show you, like, if you blow something up, you can play with the negative space and put other words inside of like the big blown up font. So you can play with fonts and things like that, and I just like that you can do that. You know, that you can use type as a graphic element, and that's the beauty of it. You're communicating visually, and you're writing or spelling it out. So that just makes it that much stronger. Okay, here you can't really tell, but it's kind of like the text is caving in and it's spilling out. I think that's so clever. I just like, you can type something out, and if you play with the words enough, and you can get into it. I think sometimes I feel like students get so creative in this one that later on they kind of go, Meow. I feel like you start to lose it. So I really do like what comes out of this project. This one is a little bit more direct because you created a shape with the fonts, but I will accept that. I've seen some really beautiful designs that some students make, and I'm pretty impressed. This is another one. I mean, they're using an ear and listen, and you can do something like that. I just don't want you to use any shapes or lines or anything like that. Just go strict text. Okay. Here's another example of like repeating your text and then playing with your negative space and adding some white text over so much repeated black text. This one is not an example for the assignment, but I just love what they've done with the text. I mean, the text can become like art. And that's what I want to let you know, because sometimes you get so good at manipulating images that you don't even know what to do with the text. You don't know what to do with the title. You don't know what to do with the body of text. So I want us to get strong in this area, because this is where most students they struggle, and that's why I want this class to be mainly about typography, if you will. This one is almost what I'm asking for, except that it has like some texture, watercolor texture, and it looks pretty cool. But if you can do something like this without the watercolor, that would be great. But like I said, it looks amazing. I like it. Okay, so back to our assignment. All right, so let's see. I'm going to choose schizophrenia, and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to use, by the way, I'm a Mac user, so I don't think it should make that much difference if we just use the same programs. Okay, so I'm going to go to Illustrator. I'll go to File, New, and I do want letter, because everybody knows that letter is 8.5 by 11. The orientation, I think I'm gonna choose what is this one? Landscape, and I'm going to say OK. Now here, what I do is I just grab the type tool, I click, and I hit right click, and oh no, I won't do that. Edit and paste what I had just copied. Okay, so I'm going to break it up. Let's say from over here. All right, so it's all in one box, I guess you can say, or thread. But I really suggest that you guys take certain words. I'm going to copy it, cut it out, Command X, and then I click out of it, get the type tool again, click anywhere, and Command V, as in copy and paste. Well, no, cut and paste. Okay, so I have hallucinations, and when you select, when you're in the selection tool, it will create a little box around. Then if you are in the type tool and you click inside of the text, you can select things, okay? And depending on what tool you're in, your dashboard changes with it. So if I'm selecting here, it's asking me, well, do you want to change the font? Or, let's see, or do you want to make it bold and perhaps a different font? I mean, font size. And then when I choose the selection tool, it creates a box around it, and the things up here, it asks me like if I want a stroke, and usually I can do different things, like I can add a stroke around the text. I don't want to do that. Okay, so hallucinations, if you click on the selection tool, you'll see like it creates a little box, and if you go right around the corner there, you get like a little arrow that it means that you can scale it. So if you hold down Shift, which is very important, you hold down Shift so it scales proportionately, and you can make it much bigger like that. And then if you go right around the corner, sometimes you'll see a little arrow, kind of a little curve. That means that you can rotate it. Okay, so another thing that you can do is hold down Option and then click and drag. And you can start creating. Then I go back and I select both. If you draw like an imaginary square around them, you select. And then you hold down Option and then click and drag. And the same thing again. So I start creating a lot of different, I just created this mess. But what if that's what the person sees? What if it's, you know, um, the hallucinations and this is expressive type. Like, what does it feel like, or what do you think it might feel like, depending on um, these disorders? So what does dyslexia look like? What does schizophrenia look like? Okay, I'm gonna put this one over it. It hides because it actually was the first thing that I created, so it's actually in the background. So I have that selected still, and I go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. But since it's black, it's not going to really show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my text tool there, and I'm going to do Command A and select all of that text, and I'm going to make it white. Oh, if you double click on this one, you can get white. Okay. I'd like it if you would create, if you would do it just black and white. I think that's a challenge. It's easy to opt out and like do color or whatever, but this is our first assignment. I really want you to keep it black and white, and please do not use any effects like bevel and emboss, shadows. If you're gonna show a shadow, do it in a clever way, just using type. I don't want any embellishments. Like that stuff, I'm telling you, it's old school. It's kind of like 90s. We don't do that anymore. Less is more. We're in the 21st century, so that is how things, the trends are. Okay, so so here we have, let's just say if this is where I'm going with that, you will be tempted to center everything and do that, right? Well, I really encourage you, if you studied art, you know that it's a lot more interesting if things are off-centered. If it's right there, and what if you had just one over here, and what if that one was, you can also, there's this one, transparency. You can make it, you can do that too. Okay, with transparency, kind of creating that ghost effect. So think about your negative space too. It's a lot more interesting to have that negative space than if you just had if you just had it right there in the middle. Like the negative space is kind of weak right there. But yet, if you were to have it even coming off the page, do not worry about that. Like that is what most students, that we've been conditioned. When we were children, we were bold. We went outside of the line, and then something happened. Our teachers told us to draw or color inside of the line. So I'm trying to undo everything that was taught. So this one is very experimental. So, you know, something like this is a lot more interesting, you know. So, is that making any sense to you guys? I hope so. Okay, let's do something else. Let's not choose hallucination. Let's just draw let's do a completely new word. Okay. I'm gonna write broken. All right, and I'm going to hold down Shift and make it very big. Okay, now in order for this little tutorial to work, you're going to have to choose a very thick font. Okay, so I think if I can preview it if I do right click and font. Yes. Let's see, what about this one right here? Yeah, okay, well, let's make that much bigger. Okay, so a trick is if, let's say you can focus in a word or certain words throughout the definition, and you know, you create your composition and you want to distort the word or make it look crazy. Okay, you can go, you select the word, because if you don't have something selected, it's not going to do anything to that, because you can have a lot of different elements on your page, and if you don't click on something, the computer is not going to know what you want it to do. Okay, so first you click on it, and then you say, you go to type and create outlines. Okay, now you're able to manipulate that word, okay? But in order to do that, you have to click out and then grab the white. It's called the direct selection tool. And this is really tricky because you can only manipulate it until you know where the points are. Like, I know there's a point here, there's a point there, and you know, it's showing me, if I go along the lines, where the points are. Okay, so what I can do now is, if I click on the point, I can start manipulating that type. I can start distorting it. So that's another trick that you can do. And so you can manipulate the words that way. Okay, now I'm going to show you another thing. Okay, so this one's a lot more, it's tough. Like, even when I show this in class. Now, this is if you want to challenge yourself. Like, I wouldn't recommend you do this if you're having a hard time. Just, you know, try doing something else. Okay. So, but if you're good at drawing, because you have to be kind of good with the pen tool. The pen tool is very difficult to use, by the way. So, so this one's a little bit more advanced. I mean, it just depends on how much you want to challenge yourself, okay? So for those of you who just feel like what I've taught you so far is good enough and you can go and create a good composition based on the words, then fine. But this is if someone else wants to challenge themselves, and this is what you can do. Okay, so the pen tool, click on that. And like I said, when you're in a different tool, your dashboard changes according to that. So if I'm in the text tool, it gives me text properties, and if I'm in the pen tool, it gives me, you know, all the types of things that I can use, like the thickness and stuff like that. The stroke is the thickness of the lines. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create like triangles. I'm gonna draw triangles, but I'm gonna go, it's like I'm gonna cut right through the word. Okay, so I'm gonna choose a color so I don't get confused. If you click on, there's this this little icon right here is called the swatches. You click on that. I'm gonna choose green. Okay. So what I do is I click 1, 2, 3, and then you have to close it. So in order for you to close the shape, you see that little circle that comes out right there? It's like a little plus sign and a little circle saying you're about to close this shape. So you click on that and it's a closed shape. Okay, so I'm going to do 1. Don't click and drag. A lot of students, they want to do this. Don't do that, okay? So just click 1, wait, 1, 2, 3, and then close it. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. Just clicking 1, 2, 3, and close. And then 1, 2, 3, and close. 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 All right. Now I have these shapes. They're basically going to cut through the words. That is what they're going to do. Okay, so I'm gonna change them back to black. It's just that if I use black, it will get confusing trying to close it if you can't really see where it began. So that's why I chose a color. Okay, so in order for me to select all of them, all the green ones, I'll click on the shape, hold down shift so I can multi-select. Okay, and now that I have them selected, I'm going to change it back to black. Okay, now this is the tricky part. Okay, I'm going to select everything. So we see the words cutting through, the shapes cutting through the word. And I want it to literally cut through. All right. So there is a Pathfinder tool. You go to Window and go to Pathfinder, click on that, you will see this little palette, this little window show up. Okay, the one that we want is the one at the bottom left. It's called the divide. Now you have to have everything selected, okay? And then you click on that and you've literally divided every single shape in there. So what you do is get the white tool, the white direct selection tool, and you have to click inside the shape and you click on that and delete. Click on that part, and that's part of the B. So click on that part. I don't want these extra shapes here, so I'm gonna get rid of these shapes. And it just what I've done is I broke it apart, so now it really does look broken. Okay, well, isn't that pretty neat? I like this one. I like to do this. Okay, like I said, this part is very advanced, so if you don't feel like you're up to it, don't try it. But I'm just teaching you different things that you can do with the type. Okay? And that's, you have to get the negative spaces out. And I don't want this part here. I know it's difficult. You really have to know Illustrator to kind of get. But that is another thing that you can do. So doesn't that look broken? It sure does. So if you guys have any questions, like I said, contact me. And like I said, there is no right or wrong. I just want you guys to try. This is an exercise, and you'd be amazed at a lot of nice outcomes that the class produces. So I want to say thank you for those people that responded on the discussion, the introduction. Um, and I will want you guys to engage. Just because it's online does not mean that you're not going to be able to get the most out of it. I really want you to learn. So what I'm going to do is find a way that we can showcase everybody's work, and you guys can comment on that. So if we cannot do it, I'm gonna ask. So if we cannot do it on D2L, where I'm gonna create another platform for us to discuss other people's work, because the best thing that we can do is help each other and critique, and that's one of the perks of working in a group. And so if you have any comments, questions, let me know. Otherwise, goodbye and see you next time. And oh yes, this assignment will be due next Tuesday. Okay, so a week from today. Um, so like I said, just contact me if you have any questions. All right, take care. And I have uploaded a Dropbox for you guys to insert your projects. Oh yes, another thing is, like, if you do this in Illustrator, I would prefer a PDF. So if you go to File, Save As, under Format, you say Adobe PDF, save it, I mean, name it, and you're good to go. Okay? All right. Well, you guys, good luck, and we'll see you guys next time. All right? Okay. Bye.